It's another Saturday, and here we are, Brad, and I'm Patrick with Racket Stringing Tips. Welcome, everybody. And so, Brad, yeah, we didn't have you on last week, but we had some good guests on last week. We're expanding our reach, right? We had Wes, and then we had
Alan, right?
Alan. Yeah, we had Alan last week. He has some good information on. He's an engineer, so he has that engineer mind. So he really methodically went through a lot of those things, and so that was really good. So if you haven't seen that, make sure you go back and watch
Yeah, I
that.
saw Wes had some of his 3D printing.
Yep, yeah, we'll have Wes on again. I think he likes to come on the show, and he's got some good things to say, and it's good to have different viewpoints as well, because sometimes I have one viewpoint, you have one viewpoint, and sometimes not necessarily one viewpoint is always the only way to approach solving a problem, or giving a solution to the way to do things, right? So that's always good.
Sure.
So hey, so what do we have today? Well, I know, like, you texted me during the week and you said, "Hey, I got my package from the the European Racket Stringing Association." I'm like, I never got anything from them. What am I supposed to get? Right? So you got your package, and then the day after, I got my package. So I'm assuming they're similar, but maybe let's go into what it is. And so I guess we should tell our viewers what it is. We became members last year of the European Racket Stringers Association because, well, me primarily because I wanted to go to the symposium that they had. Right? They had a kind of a 2-day conference that was virtual, and so I wanted to attend all those sessions. Got some good information there, and by going to that, you also become a member for a year. So I guess this information is our membership guide. So it's the Pro Stringer Guide 2022. Looks like we just lost Brad. He probably is coming back here in a minute. So we got that. And of course, the certificate. And hopefully Brad will come back so we can talk about the string. And it did come with 3 sets of string. Oh, and of course a sticker. But yeah, so I guess I'll wait until. Oh. Yeah, you dropped off. So
yes,
I tried to slow it down. That's all right.
I was gone, so I'm back. Yeah. You started talking about the ERSA when I dropped off.
So I was just talking about what I got. I got the stringing guide. That's kind of similar to the United States Racket Stringers Association, where you have all of the different racket patterns of all the rackets: tennis, squash, badminton. So that's a thick. It's good to have one of those. I mean, I don't need 2 of them, but I don't use them that often. But and then of course just your membership certificate, a sticker. Yeah. And so I got 3 sets of string. I don't know if that came with that, or if that was one of our freebies we were supposed to get, because I never got the free items from the that we were supposed to get, because they were supposed to send them straight from the companies, I think. So I never got anything.
I never got those either.
Yeah. So I got a set of Luxilon Element 130. Did you get that? Okay. So those must have been his giveaways or something, and he added them to this. And then MSV Focus Hex Soft. So that one is a hex string, and it is a. I haven't ever played with or I haven't ever strung this one, but obviously it's a poly based string. And then did you get this one also? Yeah. So the ISO speed V18.
Yeah, Mark does a good job.
So that's so I was happy to get that in the mail, just kind of like get something out of the membership there. And plus there's that monthly racket stringing magazine online, which is Pro Stringer, which kind of talks a little bit about strings and stringing and kind of what's going on in Europe. So it's good to kind of be able to catch up and keep up to speed what's happening there, because the US RSA is kind of our version of that here in the US, so that's what we kind of just have. And from that, actually, speaking of that, I get the RSI magazine here, right? And in the March issue, there was an article in there called "The Importance of Inventory," and it's talking about all of the 1,100 strings that the USRSA has in their database that they have tested, and they have the stiffness and tension loss and all that, kind of like what Tennis Warehouse also does, right? And so
Yeah.
they have 1,100 in there, and they added some new ones, and so they put that in here. Obviously, I don't want to give that information out just because it's you have to kind of be a member of that to get that. But there were 2 strings on that list that they just added to their database, which keep tension. They only lose they lose less than 10 pounds overall, which is pretty good, because most of the tension losses range anywhere from 11 pounds. We talk about that all the time, to 20 to even 30 pounds of tension over the short period of time. And so the 2 that were rated under 10-pound tension loss that kept the maintenance the best.
10%,
Number
right?
one, what's that?
Is it 10% tension loss? 10 to like 50% tension
It
loss?
says pounds. It says pounds, so
interesting. Okay.
it's not percent. It's pounds.
Yeah.
And so the first one that they put in there was TNT 2 React Pro 17, and I mean those are pretty stiff strings, but that's a nylon string. And then the next one is a ProKenix Premier K RX 17. So with RX, obviously that's going to be a softer string, but that kept its tension the best as well. So I don't ever really buy ProKenix strings. Usually ProKenix is one of those, if you're a club, and you might be sponsored, you might get a whole package deal and get ProKenix and you get string. But yeah, maybe that's one to try. It keeps tension really well. So that's kind of what we're always looking for is the maintaining tension and so forth. So that's it as far as that's concerned. So Ashley Barty is retiring, huh?
Second time, right?
Second time. It just kind of is like any industry, right? You're always going to have a certain amount of individuals who just either have had enough, don't really love it. They did it for different reasons when they were younger, and they just want to move on to, try other things, right?
Well,
But yeah,
yeah.
but she did give it up one time before. I mean, and when you are number one in the world, I would imagine there's a lot of stress that goes along with that, and keeping up with that, and always having to travel and all, everything that goes with it. I think she probably, is in a place in her life where she could probably walk away and start something completely new, and
Yeah, it's easy to look at someone else and tell them or think what they should do with their life.
mhm.
You know what I mean? But it's ultimately it's her life and it's her decisions, and like
Yeah.
you said, anytime you're involved in something that's paying you millions of dollars, there's a lot of freedoms taken away with that. Although money
Mhm.
does give you a lot of freedoms as well, but when you're getting money from big corporations, there's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of appearances. There's a lot of meet and greets. There's a lot of, there's a ton of stuff. I mean, I saw it firsthand with Venus and Serena. Going to signings
Mhm.
or meet and greets or phone calls or press. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
there is a lot to it,
Yeah.
and maybe she'd had enough. I mean,
Yeah. And
it's
I
hard
was
to
thinking of that
imagine.
with the sponsorships, because a lot of those sponsorships are over a long period of time, like 3 to 5 years or whatever it is, right?
Yeah,
That they sign those deals. And so I wonder what happens if you retire. I mean, obviously companies have to take that into consideration, but injuries, retirements, other factors. But I don't know who ends up losing out on that more, the individual, the player, or the company. So
right.
that's obviously something that she has to work out or whatever. But yeah, good luck to her. And maybe when I see something like that, I go, man, somebody who's 25 years old or whatever, retiring from a professional sport where she's making millions of dollars, gets to do what she wants, gets to play tennis all day. What you would give to be able to do that, right?
Yeah, a lot of
But
people
not
would.
everybody has that viewpoint or whatever. But no, I just thought that was kind of like, that was the tennis news of the week, right?
It sure was. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a comment for this week, because last week we talked about stringing machines, right? That was our part 2. You weren't in on that one, of course, but it was kind of the second part. But so basically we spent 2 weeks talking about tennis machines and so forth, and we talked about the machines that tilt and so forth, how that makes it easy for some people. And one of the
Yeah.
comments somebody put in was that a few of the top line Yonex machines also do have a tilt feature, because I think at the time I was thinking the Wilson was the only one that had that tilt feature, but I guess there are some other top of the line machines that also are tilt, so that you
Yeah.
can change for the crosses and stuff. So that's good.
Good to know. Yeah, you've got a comment right now. I see someone, Cody, who is thanking
Yeah,
you.
Cody. So finally, I caught a live stream. I'm new to stringing and received my Bayardo back
February.
in February, and already have a handful of clients. Thanks for all the great info. Oh, great! Wow. So you're new to stringing, and you went all the way to and got a Bayardo. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Where are you located? Out of curious, if you're still here.
All right. So yeah, so I don't know where he's at from, but yeah, maybe if he's still there. But yeah, I'd like to hear more about that and how that's going. And what was I going to say with regarding that? Oh, so yeah, so today's topic, I wanted to get into actually measuring tennis string.
Yeah.
That's something that we all have to do, right? And it kind of seems like maybe it's not worthy of a whole 10-minute segment, but who knows? It's something that there's different ways of doing it. I've used different methods of measuring tennis string, and so I just thought, hey, let's just talk about it for a few minutes and see what your take on it is, how you handle that, if you do it differently than I.
Hmm.
And of course, if you are using a package set, any kind of package set, there's really only two options. You're going to use the whole set, or you're going to cut it exactly in half. You're not
Right.
going to cut it to 18 feet, or you're not going to cut it to 19 feet or anything like that. You're just going to cut it either right in half. And if I'm going to do that, I uncoil it to get the core, to get all the make sure that I carefully do it so that I don't knot it up or whatever, because it's pretty easy to knot up tennis string if you just pull it out.
Oh yeah, it sure is.
And then you're just talking to yourself, going, why did I not spend that extra second or extra minute and do it the right way?
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, that just kind of. So then I'll just wrap it around my machine or my racket that's in the machine, and then just measure it equally, and then cut it right in the middle. That's how I would do. Cut a 40-foot set right into half. But I think the bigger part of it is when you are measuring from a reel, right? Some people will measure, maybe have like 5 feet or 3 feet somewhere, and then you can just stretch it that far
Yeah.
every time. Now, 3 feet doesn't seem like it's worth doing, because you're either going to be measuring 40 feet or 20 feet, right? So I would say 5 feet is what you really need to be measuring out.
Yeah.
Um, you're not going to be able to do that on your machine necessarily, because your machine's probably not going to be quite that long. But maybe have a space in the area where you string, and then have measure out a 5-foot area, and then you can just always either do it 4 times for half a set, or 8 for the whole set. But what I use is I just use my span of my arm span. I've gotten comfortable doing that, so I'll basically just stretch it a certain amount of times, 3.5 or whatever it is. For everybody's going to be a little bit different, and that's what I
Yeah.
would use to measure. There's another way of doing it as well. When you have the racket mounted on the machine, you can basically just look. Okay, if you have 16 mains, I basically will just measure. I just take my hands and with the string and measure the mains, and I'll use the center mains, because then
You got
I'll just
extra.
pull that. Then the extra that you get from that, because of the other mains being smaller, will be enough for your tie off and all that. So I'll just do that, and then for the crosses, I'll do the same. It takes maybe an extra minute or two, but it's not an exact science. But I usually don't lose out on that.
Yeah.
Or you could just take 40 feet off of a reel initially, and do it that way. But again, then you might be wasting a few feet. So those are some methods that I've used and that I've seen. I don't know. Do you have any other way that
Not,
you
no,
measured heavy
not
string?
really. I what I pay attention to is the density of the string pattern and the size of the racket head. If it's a 16 by 19, I know I'll pretty much have a lot of extra string, especially in a 40-foot set. Once in a while, if you get into an oversized 18 by 20, you might need an extra foot. You might want 21 feet for the mains, instead of the 20, just to be on the safe side. And also what string you're using. The polys don't really stretch, but the multi-filaments and stuff, you'll get a lot of stretch, so you'll have no issues and stuff. But once in a blue moon, especially when you've got to extend the string out to the what I'm drawing a blank there, but
The Diablo?
well, yeah, the Diablo, you need that extra string just to get into the tension head
Oh yeah,
too. So you know what I mean. So if you measure it too close, then you've got to use the
the
bridge
gripper.
and
Yeah.
stuff. So which is no big deal, but
Yeah, and hey, Wes is joining us from PCS Stringing. Hey, Wes, and he was just saying that yeah, there's actually benefits to cutting a set down, not using 20 feet if you don't need it. Yeah, and so generally I'll start with the 20 feet, and then as I'm stringing, I start to like cut it down a little bit, especially if you're using a set, right? I'll leave it in there first, and then what I'll do is cut off a little bit when I don't need it because like
yeah,
after I start the crosses, generally I will like look and kind of get an idea like, yeah, I probably don't need those extra feet, and I'll kind of measure it and then cut those out because if you don't have to pull extra string through, it's less friction, and it's it makes things a little bit quicker as well. So I,
yeah. For sure. I use a 4 foot. I have enough space for 4 feet, so I usually just measure it 5 times. Or if I don't need 20 feet, I'll do like, I'm pretty good at eyeballing, the half of the 4 feet. So if I only need 18 feet or whatever.
yeah, and actually 4 feet you could probably measure on your machine. I think if you maybe right. I mean the beginning of your turntable to maybe where your button is or something for pulling that
Yeah.
or just figure out what 4 feet is, and then you can measure and stuff. But yeah, hey, we've got so Cody was saying that he's in earlier you were asking where he's at. He's in
Oh,
Northern Virginia. All
okay.
right, great. So I'm sure you're playing indoor tennis about this time of the year.
Yeah,
uh,
getting close. Couple outdoor days maybe.
yeah, and then we have Joe. I don't know if we've had Joe on here before. The first time I string a racket, I use the USRSA pattern string amounts, and if excess is left, then I make notes on the customer page so I can be more efficient with the reel.
Good
There you
idea.
go. Yeah, and I think Wes is also on that same line of thought as far as being efficient with string, like not wasting anything.
If you're stringing 3, 4, 500 rackets a year and you pay attention to things, that's an extra few $100 in your pocket if you're really measuring the string and not wasting string.
And
That's
so
right.
Wes is like, so if you have 20 crosses and use 20 feet when you really only need 17, then you're weaving or fanning an extra 60 feet of string through the mains. Yeah, lots of
That's the truth.
unnecessary wear and tear. I don't know if he meant 6 feet. I think he meant 6 feet, not 60 feet, since string
Well,
is only.
no, because I think what he's saying is every hole you go through,
Oh
you're
yeah, yeah,
throwing
yeah, yeah.
an extra
Because you
3 feet of
right that
string.
extra. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Of course,
it
right.
it adds up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. And if you are, trying to get a little bit quicker at it, the less
And
that
that's
you
why
pull.
I started doing the crosses where I start below and start like 3 down and then string up to the top and then finish the rest of the crosses. So I don't take all the string through through those areas where the main string is tying off into a knot. So there's less friction. I only take 9 feet of string or 8 feet of string instead of the whole 20 feet. So
Yeah. So yeah, and last week we also had Alex Feller. He gave me a stringing machine checklist that he uses, and we kind of went over that a little bit. when we talked about the machines and stuff. So I think we had,
Yep.
that was a really good talk on the machines, and I think we hit quite a lot of different points going over that. So yeah,
Yeah.
so this week,
Sorry, I
yeah,
missed
you
that.
missed out. No, it was good. We had when you have 2 or 3 people on there, it brings up some good dialogue and stuff. So I
Yeah.
think last week was pretty good. So yeah, we'll definitely continue that. But I think we're getting close to 500 subscribers here. So I want to I want to do a giveaway. We're going to do a giveaway when we hit 500. So hopefully that'll happen soon. Maybe not next week, maybe the following week. So I'm going to get that all ready, and I'll be giving some string sets, and a few other things I won't talk about yet, but so that'll be good.
Awesome.
Of course, tennis related things. So that'll be fun. So I got to get that all set up. That'll be my first time getting that set up. So hopefully that'll be fun. So yeah, make sure that you subscribe, and leave some comments, and be sure to look for that live giveaway stream that we'll be having.
Yeah, we're starting Miami too this week. The Miami
Oh
tournament.
yeah,
That'll be
yeah.
great.
I like that tournament. Stringing at that tournament.
And I heard Nadal's out. He had a stress fracture in his rib, was it? Last
Oh yeah,
week
I didn't. I
in
haven't really
his
followed that this week.
during his
Wow.
semifinal match. I guess he somehow stress fractured his rib, is what I heard, and so he played with it in the finals and lost to the Southern Cal boy. Why am I drawing a blank on his name right now? But a hell of a win for him over Nadal in the finals, and so I think Nadal will be out for 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting
Yeah,
um,
West does that
injury,
too.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So let's see.
Fritz, yeah,
Fritz. Okay, Taylor
Taylor,
Fritz.
Taylor
Yeah,
Fritz,
Taylor
yeah,
Fritz.
he beat Nadal. Great,
Mhm.
this kid's been doing very, very well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that should be fun. Yeah, I'll have to watch some of that. That's a fun tournament.
Yeah, Miami's a great tournament. I remember one time I was at the Miami tournament probably 20 years ago, and this is when a guy named Butch Buchholz owned the tournament. Butch owned the Miami tournament, and he owned the Pilot Pen. And Butch Buchholz was a great American player. I think he played in the 60s Davis Cup. He had a brother, Cliff
Oh,
Buchholz, and I knew his brother Cliff just randomly called a club one day out in Colorado, and Cliff answered. He owned the club, and we played tennis. He was a great player too. So we actually ended up having lunch at the Pilot Pen. But Butch had a racket, the Butch Buchholz racket that I found on eBay, and I bought it and took it to the tournament. And I was going to have Butch autograph it for me. But before I got into Butch's office, his secretary saw it and fell in love with the racket. So of course I was a sucker for this pretty blonde, and I gave her the racket. So so I'm sure she had Butch autograph it for her. But she was a nice girl, and she was really like blown away that he had his own racket. So that was kind of funny. And then I think
yeah,
he
that's
sold
cool.
it. I don't know who owns it, IMG or who owns it.
Yeah, and I think we talked about that before, like how many times that venue changed names and so forth. When I strung at it the first time, it was called the Lipton.
Yes,
The Lipton.
the
Yeah, I was
Lipton,
looking.
the
I
Ericsson.
still, yep. And then the Ericsson. I still have my Lipton. I actually have the little. I can't really see it, but that right there is my tag
Oh
from way back
yeah,
when, from the
where?
Lipton when I was younger.
What
Can't
year
really.
was that? I wonder. I might
Oh
have been there
man,
then.
let me see if I can get this thing down.
I was there in 97, I think. In
Let's see
98.
here.
98. No, 97 I was there.
Yeah, it was the. It's got to be like. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It doesn't say. It actually doesn't say on here.
The year, yeah.
It's Yeah, it doesn't say, but I was a lot younger then. So it's yeah,
Yeah.
that was a long time ago. Yeah, that's stringers. That's you keep that junk. You keep some of your. I think I got rid of some of them, but
Oh,
I kept.
everyone keeps those. I've been to players' houses that just kept every
Oh
badge
yeah,
they
yeah,
ever
yeah.
got.
I think it means a little more as a player than it does a stringer, but hey,
Yeah, they
that's as
both
close
mean,
as I'm gonna get. So
yeah, me too, as a hitting partner. I love those. I still have my tags that I had.
yeah. See,
It's kind
this
of
one tournament that I worked at in California all the time. It was the Carson. It was in Carson, California. It started out as a Manhattan Beach Open, but then it moved to Carson. It was a bigger venue. The
Mhm.
Williams sisters always played it as well, Lindsay Davenport and everything. And so you got to know the credential guy, because then he'll give you because usually the stringers don't always get full access, but if you kind of know the guy, you can kind of he'll add the extra letter on there and give you full access. So
Well, I'll tell you
you
a
can sit
quick
in the
funny
press
story.
conferences and stuff. So, huh?
Yeah, I'll tell you just this really a quick funny story is when I was a hitting partner for Venus and Serena, I would get a badge, and they had letters on the badge. Like
Mm-hmm.
your badge just had the letter A. So
All
the
right.
letter A signifies certain areas that you're allowed to go. Well,
Exactly.
I think my badge had a C or a B, and because I was working for one of the women's players, I was not allowed to use the men's locker room in Arthur Ashe Stadium. No big deal if we weren't practicing in Arthur Ashe Stadium, but because I was hitting with Venus and Serena, we were oftentimes practicing on Arthur Ashe Stadium court. If they had a match on that court, they were allowed to practice on that court. But for me, it became a royal pain because my badge letter signified that I was allowed to use the junior locker room, which was on the other side of the grounds. And so that was super frustrating, because sometimes I'd hit with Venus and then I'd be sweating, want to run to the bathroom quick, rinse my face off, then come out and hit with Serena. And so I would quickly, I'd walk into the locker room with all my rackets into the hallway at Arthur Ashe Stadium, flip my badge over so they wouldn't see the letter, and just quickly walk past security as if I was in the men's draw. And they never stopped me once, but it was nerve wracking because I'm like, God, if they ask me to turn the badge over, I'm kind of screwed, but you might have hit mute. I can't hear you.
Yeah, because some of the places, like if you want to stand in the corridor, or the tunnel, that goes into the courts or whatever, sometimes it's fun just to stand there and hang out while the players go through and everything. Or
You're
sometimes
right.
or sometimes I'd like to sit where the photographers sit,
Yeah.
like down below, so you can get better view of and so for some of those kind of places, you had to have a little bit more access, that in the press room and stuff. So yeah, it always helped when you can get bumped up to the better letters and stuff.
Do you think a stringer will ever get inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame?
you
Probably
know,
not.
there's a few stringers out there, like if you think about like Roman, or somebody like that, who's given a lot
Warren
to this,
Bosworth or
yeah, that have given a lot to the stringing community as a whole, and to players, right?
yeah.
You know, I could see something like that possibly. Why
They
not?
inducted a photographer,
Oh,
they did
really?
induct a tennis
Oh,
yeah, Russ Adams was inducted. So,
yeah,
once in a
yeah,
blue moon, but visually he captured a lot of iconic images, from the 60s, 70s,
yeah,
80s, whatever.
yeah.
But like you said, if there's someone to lobby for a
Mhm.
stringer and how, it's possible.
Yeah, yeah. So, yep, those are fun days. Um, so I don't know. That's really all I have for today. I mean, I wanted to keep it a little bit shorter today because number one, nobody ever watches this for an hour and 20 minutes. So, I think
Yeah.
after a certain point, everybody falls off. So, why we'll save our breath for the next video and stuff.
Yeah, that
We'll
sounds good.
Yeah, we'll come up with
Um,
some good. I don't know. Do you have any big topic that you want to cover for our next video? I mean, if we do end up getting to the giveaway, that'll probably cover a lot of it, but that might not happen next week. So, if
yeah,
you have
no,
a
I
good
don't have
topic,
too much really that I can think of. You
well,
know,
we can ask. I don't know. Wes always has a lot of good input. Wes or Cody, Joe. Um,
any of the folks that tune
yeah.
in if they
Any
have an opinion.
any topic we should cover that you think we should cover next week? Get a little bit deeper in.
Well, pretty
Just
soon
put it
the
in the comments.
college, tournament's
Yeah.
going to be take the NCAA's and stuff. We can talk a little bit about, we can mention who are the top teams, who are the top seeds, top players, things like that. So we can get into that. Talk about Miami, the French
Yeah.
Open's coming up, Wimbledon in another month or so, right?
Yeah. So is
Something
is
like that.
all of the COVID, I know the COVID restrictions have been lifted a lot here where I live now. with masks and all that, and across the United States, a lot of that's already been kind of done away with. But are there still those restrictions for tournaments, for players and stuff, or has that kind of been done away with? Because I was like thinking of, Djokovic and all that whole ordeal early on this year. I'm like
Yeah.
wondering, is that still all? I haven't been really following that.
Yeah, I don't know. Things are starting to relax. I went to a college match today and I wore my mask inside, and I noticed no one else is wearing a mask, but I thought it was still, the rules on the college campus. But then, I was told no, that on March 4th they did away with that. So who knows? I mean, you read about, I think in England cases are up a
Yeah,
ton.
I
So,
think internationally, there's still those requirements. I think for the
yeah.
yeah
So
restrictions and stuff.
fortunately, it never drove me real crazy. I was able to deal with it pretty well without it really ruining my day or anything. But
Yeah.
it does. The weather's getting warm soon. It gets pretty hot, especially being outside. UK has dropped all their COVID
COVID
mandates, so
mandates. Oh, wow, okay.
yeah. Well, let's just hope things keep going in a positive direction and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, because the thing is, it's obviously not gone, I think it's just gonna be the new normal. I think we're gonna have to just deal with it on a regular basis and stuff, stay
Yeah,
healthy and yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, that's good. We got another Biardo user in the group today,
Yeah,
so
I
that's
know,
good.
we're gonna have to find out how he likes that um, stringing on that machine.
Yeah. Pretty wild. I've had a slower month than usual a little bit. Maybe I've done 25 rackets so far this month, so been real slow the last few days. I got lucky when I got that infection on my hand from that cat scratch. I wasn't able to string, but for some reason I had like a very slow 5 days. I only had two people ask me for rackets to get strong, and they
Oh,
both
that's
couldn't
good.
break the weight,
Oh,
so it
yeah,
worked
that's
out
good.
well. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I
that's,
did order. I did place an order. Got some more stuff in the mail, so that was good. Just some head links and Solinco Hyper G.
yep. Did
Hmm.
you find any strings on sale, or did you
Yeah.
just get what you
Um,
needed?
I didn't, and I know Technifiber I think has 20% off right now, reels and stuff, but
Mhm.
I didn't need anything unfortunately, so I just bought it. Oh, I know, I bought a reel of Luxlon ALU Power 125 also. So
Yeah, that's
uh,
the thing is if you can really plan on like, you know, buying around sales,
oh
you could save a lot because if you can kind of, you know, not buy out of necessity, but buy out of, the discounts that are available,
yeah,
then, if you can sit on it a little, if you don't mind having a larger inventory, or sitting on it for a little while, then I think you could save a lot of money that way because sometimes when those deals come up, you're like, well, I don't need, 20 sets of, you know, such and such string, but if you're
6 months later
saving,
you're kicking yourself when you need
yeah,
it.
'cause you didn't buy it. Because for a lot of those things, they're gonna hold, they're gonna keep for a while. A lot
You
of
know
those
what I
strings
did
like that.
this week is I took I hired an online tutor on that Wyzant app. You ever heard of or Wyzant, the website Wyzant? You can hire tutors. I found a guy for $35 an hour, and he helps set up my Excel spreadsheet so that every time I put in an income and expense, it automatically tallies on a separate page. So by the end of the year, it automatically adds up all my income, all my expenses, so I can just send one sheet off to the accountant when I do my taxes and stuff. So it took him about 2.5 hours. It's a less than $100. It's really nice now that it automatically just takes care of all that for me. You
Oh,
know.
wow, yeah, that makes sense, yeah, 'cause I finally, I use the, QuickBooks online. The problem is I don't it takes me I'm just kinda getting new to that. I mean, it's new to me because I used to just do everything by hand and just, figure it all out and stuff for my accountant,
Yeah, I
yeah,
second Joe. By the way, I second Joe's comment. Yeah,
Genesis
that's I
Express
found the same thing.
raise all this. Oh, yeah. Really, the prices, yeah, the whole inflation and everything is going up and strings as well, right? Yeah, if you gotta make sure you, keep up with that and think about, raising prices too and letting your customer know, kind of like, you know
Absolutely, Wes.
Yep.
I agree with you, Wes. If you're really trying to cut, make your profits where you can, measuring the string is important.
Yep.
Just be careful if you measure short that you hold on to that and label it so you get a 14 main string in or something. You can use it one day and talk that customer into that set that you mismeasured.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, huh? You never know. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well, I guess that's all I have today, Brad. So, yeah, thanks for joining me today. And we look
Thank
forward
you.
to coming up with some new material next week. And maybe we'll be ready for our 500 subscriber giveaway. So,
Yeah, that would be great.
yeah,
And
that's going to be
then
fun.
I think my daughter has a question for you.
Oh, okay.
Ask him when. Why don't you just ask him? No, when it's over. All right, I got to ask you something when
You
we
got
get
to ask.
off the air.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. All right. All right. Well, have a good week. Thanks, Wes, Ralph, and Joe, everybody
I
at the.
believe that Wes has it down to a science. Believe me.
I know
Yeah,
he spends a lot of effort on thinking about each of those things. So that's good. Yeah, I like having him on. So we'll
yeah,
definitely keep that going. So all right, we'll see
great.
you later.
Thanks, Pat.